Influence here, and today we're going to talk about displays and what's the best way to display your action figures or anything that you collect in a little different spot today, just because of logistics. I'm doing some work on my actual room that I display my Transformers in, or all my collectibles, I should say. I will show that off when I'm done. Let's get into it.
Transformers reviews, tech and the news, whatever else I use as a muse. Hit subscribe, I appreciate the views. Influences interest on YouTube.
So I'm gonna go handheld in a minute to talk about like the different things I have and how I have things displayed.
Subscribe.
I'm by no means a display guru. I think I'm far from it. I do like my display. There's things that I don't like about it that I'm in the process of working on changing. But let's just talk about displays. I see a lot of people that spend a lot of money on this hobby, whatever that you collect, whatever it may be, and they just put it in any old trash. That's not disrespectful. I mean, I hope you don't take it disrespectfully if that's you. But what I'm saying is, it's like buying a Lamborghini or whatever high-end car. If you don't like cars, whatever it is that you like. I happen to like cars. So to me, that's like buying a Lamborghini and then taking it to the $5 car wash up the street. You know, it'll get the job done. It may even look clean, but guarantee it's going to be all types of paint swirls and scratches and all types of stuff that you're going to see later on that's going to make the car not look as pristine as it should. You won't get the dressing. Maybe you'll get the dressing on tires if you do some extra payment, whatever. It might be right, might not be right. Might get good windows clean, whatever the case may be. It may be sufficient for you, but if you have a $200,000, $300,000 car, why would you take it to the $5 car wash? That's really what I'm saying. You should go get it detailed. I think a lot of people think about displays like, well, I'd rather have another Transformer. I know I've been there. Like, I look at different furniture, different things to display these figures, and I'm like, man, $400, $300 for this? That's a combiner, or that's a, well, not these days, but when I was looking, that was a combiner. So I'm like, oh man, I could buy this combiner, or I could get this furniture when what I have laying in around, or what my grandma gave me, or what I took from my parents when I moved, or whatever you have laying around, will work fine, and we'll have it displayed. But I want people to get out of that. Like, I've seen a lot of high-end displays where the furniture is great. The care is put into just as much money and care into the display and how it's displayed as the figures cost. And that is the greatest. I think that's the greatest looking display when that happens. Now, it's all up to you how that happens. Like, I've seen people with a bunch of bots on one shelf. I have a couple shelves with a lot of bots. To me, it's overcrowded, and it's kind of, it works for what I do. However, I'd rather have stuff spaced out. But maybe you're fine with that. Maybe you're fine with having the generic up and downs. I don't think that looks good. I need figures posed, or at least a little bit less than looking like G1 figures. Again, that's all personal preference. That's not really what I'm talking about. That does add a height to it. I think the ultimate displays that I've seen is great furniture and great dioramas. Now, there's a lot of people that make dioramas. There's some great ones. I've seen Bobby's dioramas, Travis diorama, if you know Trav, in the groups. His dioramas are great. I don't want to leave anybody out who makes dioramas, but those are two that I've seen. Pinkerton, of course, he does this. So his dioramas are immaculate, but he has that business. So Crashbox Customs, you can check him out. I'm not sponsored by any of these dudes, but I do know them. So I like to shout them out. like I said, I don't want to leave anybody out who does dioramas and does them well, but there's just a few off the top of my head that elevates. I think the dioramas, and if they're done well, elevate a lot of the displays that I've seen. I've seen people do whole, I'm sorry, I don't know people's names, but I seen one guy do a whole volcano scene with the arc and with their legends. I think it was legends. That was great looking. That was crazy. You know, you got to put some creativity in it. And if you don't have any creativity, everybody has creativity. But if you feel like you don't have creativity, which I understand, not everybody, there's levels to it. Some people are more creative than others. You can always look at other people's dioramas. It's not really biting. I mean, it is biting, but it's a good biting. I've taken stuff from every great display that I've seen and tried to incorporate it the best I could for what I got for now. Like, maybe you don't like dioramas and you can elevate it a different way. I have seen a lot of displays. I don't have any dioramas, and I think my display is okay. I think it's good, and I really like what I did. I do think there's room for improvement. Like I said, a lot of room for improvement. But the other thing I think that goes with the furniture that you get is somewhat symmetrical matching furniture, stuff that looks good, or I should say stuff that's functional doesn't always look good, and vice versa. Stuff that looks good sometimes isn't as functional. So you really got to try to strike a balance. You don't have to have all the same furniture. I don't. But I think being symmetrical with the furniture, and you'll see what I mean in a minute, I think that's the other big thing. And I already said it, not to be redundant, but look around. Look at people's displays. Join different groups. There's an actual display group on Facebook. I'm not affiliated with it, but I am in it. There's, you know, the Third Party Kingdom. You got the Realm. You got ERC group. They're like the three main ones that I frequent, but there's a lot of other group, Black Collectors Group. It's just a number of groups on Facebook. Look around, join, look at people's displays. Like, people, there's tons of people that have better displays than me to me. And I look at their display and I'm like, I'm keeping it up here for, you know, and trying to budget out. That's really probably my main goal, is to get my display elevated a little bit to a higher status. Like every display area. Like I said, I'm not the display guru. Far from it. I'm taking pieces and bits and everything from other people, just like you. So here we are at my display. Now, my display is more geared towards ambiance, but so this is like the main. You come downstairs, you're greeted with this. I was going with the backdrop, which I love for the ambiance, and the back of the box for G1. That's what my thinking was when I got this backdrop, this space backdrop. It's like the G1 get in the back of the box and you see all the characters, and that's why I chose that. I think that's what elevates my display over here, which eventually I think I will do on all my displays, or at least my secondary display. My third display is like Marvel. It has a lot of different stuff on it, so I think I'm gonna leave it as is. Now, this one right here is garage shelves. Now, I've seen people elevate garage shelves to greatness. I don't think mine are greatness. Again, it looks good. I like the way they look, and they're the ones without the holes that look kind of, I don't know the word, warehousey, I guess. You can still see the holes in the back, but there's things that you can do to cover that up. I've seen people elevate it with dioramas, kind of almost making it look like a Magic case. There's different things you can do. I got this kind of functional and looking good. So I do like that because they hold a lot of weight. You don't have to worry about your figures. Now, these shelves on this side, going to pan over. This shelf right here is kind of like a Detolf, but it's open. It rubs me the wrong way at times because it kind of looks like those cheap shelves where the plastic rods that you just screw in. These are not that. They're metal. The rods are all metal. The shelves are all glass. I like that. Then over here, I have a black one. It's a little wider. I wish these were as wide as those. I may look for black ones for this side. But this is what I mean when I say you don't have to have furniture that matches. I think it looks great. It kind of it's not a contrast. It kind of goes together, the black and the silver. But I do like the contrast of having black and silver. So this is a smaller shelf too. It only goes to there. I did plan that out because I wanted to put my combiners on the top, which I have done. Still not wide enough to put 2 combiners on the top, but 1 on each side, and then I have combiners in my main, in the middle. It kind of looks like steps. Then this is smaller than this, and then you get to the one in the middle, which is wide, big. And then on this side for the Decepticons, which I separated them, Decepticons and Autobots. So Autobots on that side, Decepticons on this side. They same shelf, 2 of the same shelves, I should say, different. So it kind of looks like steps. Now, the things I would have changed, or I do want to change, is I actually want to do this whole wall in that backdrop. And I also want to change my other display to a backdrop. And I'll show that in a minute. But the second part of having a good, or not the second part, but whatever part I'm on, of having a good display is lighting. I think lighting should be great. Is my lighting great? I don't think my lighting is great, but my lighting is mood. Like my lighting is, I can see all the Transformers. They are a little dark, but I think it's a vibe. That's what I should say. My lighting is a vibe. And I like that. I like that my lighting is that. But lighting is probably the hardest thing to get right. Because you have wires, you can have wireless, but then they don't last long. You got to keep recharging them. In my experience, go with a wired light and just put extra time and effort into hiring. I can't talk. Extra time and effort into hiding those wires because it'll work out for you better. I have a display that comes on with Google. I just say, relax, and then just the Transformer lights are on. All my lights down here turn off, and it's just a great vibe. The light strips are all throughout these, but they're hidden in the back pretty well. But on the sides, they go up, and you can actually see the individual lights. And I don't like that much. I'm in the process of figuring out how to do that better. Maybe revamping, putting better lights or newer lights. I do see some age in my lights because they're turning a little colors. I got Govee lights. I think Govee's some of the best for the price. They usually not expensive. Here's a display that I think the figures look good, but not necessarily the display is the greatest. Now, a lot of this stuff like down bottom is miscellaneous, or on this shelf is like, let me see, I'm trying not to get out of focus. Right here is like all miscellaneous stuff. I got the Realm collectors figures that they put out. I got just side figures. I got some Hasbro figures, but they're the Cybertronian modes. I like that. I just have a display with stuff. I'm fine with that though. I like the way it looks and I'm great with that, but it is taking up a spot, and down bottom is just randomness. Here, these two displays I love because I have MMC's Defensor over here with a bunch of legends. Over here I have Hasbro's Predaking and MMC's Skylinks with a bunch of legends. I think it looks great. The only thing is the background. That's the thing. Like right now I have a curtain because it's a framed wall without drywall. So I'm in the process, which I probably should have done in quarantine, where I did a lot of this stuff, but it was so expensive for drywall because of COVID at the time that I was just like, I'm going to put up curtains, and they're black curtains, and it looks fine, you know, but it looks fine. It's not, I'm not going for fine. I want it to look great. So I am going to frame that wall, or not frame it. It's already framed, but I'm going to put drywall on that wall and probably put a backdrop on the back of there. Now, doing stuff like this is a pain in the ass, of course, because you have to move all your figures, or you can try to move the shelf with the figures on it. I don't advise it. I've done that a couple times and paid the price. I know we like collecting this stuff, but you got to put the effort into it, and that's what I'm figuring out. Like, that's my next move, is to put effort into my display, more effort than there is. So all in all, display is very important, I think, to how your figures look and how great your collection looks. A lot of displaying things is personal preference, and I never look past that. Like, when I see people's displays, if they're not what I like, as long as you like them, I think it's fine. I think there are some universal things that don't look good, and we went over a lot of those, like mismatched furniture, like mismatched to the point where, like, you might have a whole wooden brown dresser or something and have your display, or and next to you might have a plastic, maybe a white plastic little, like the things I talked about earlier that screw on, the barrel screws. You might have one of those next to it. Now, I understand everybody doesn't have the money to put exorbitant amount of money into their display, but again, I use the, you know, you have the money to get these pieces, especially some of these higher end pieces. I will argue, you know, stop buying more stuff and start thinking about your display, because I do see a lot of people that buy a ton of stuff, ton of mainline, ton of third party, and then they just have it shoved into the shelf with no type of thought. I just think that's terrible. Like, that I think is universally not good and not a good approach to your display. But again, as far as how you want the figures to look, how you want them set up, how many figures on the shelf, I do think that's personal preference. I think that's it for this video. I try not to make it too long, but I think it is longer than I wanted it to be. But I thank you for joining me. If you joined me, I appreciate it. And I will see you on the next video. I'm not going to say it no more. I'm not going to say Menosaur's on his way. Fans always Menosaur's on his way. Thanks for watching. Peace.
You know, life ain't no, life ain't no, life ain't no. As long as you alive, you can give another try and take it real high if you want.